Childhood Sweethearts. Chapter 12. A Cold Night. You and Scootaloo were en route to your house after the get-together you and your friends shared at Sugar Cube Corner. The moon was creeping out from behind the mountains, towering over Ponyville, and slowly starting its way along into the starry night sky to reach the peak above Equestria, the brilliant white light illuminating the streets below like heaven's gate opening. Very few town occupants were out at this time, and shops and sale stands were being closed down for the night. Trotting slowly beside you, Scootaloo kept her gaze averted from your own and had her head turned away from you. You wanted to say something to her, but simply couldn't find the words for said something. The silence was awkward, to say the least, and you felt a little bit uncomfortable. Something in the back of your mind nibbled away at your brain, and you mentally scratched back at it, unable to get it to stop. Behind closed lips, you gritted your teeth. With all of your attention being focused on the endless nibbling in your head causing you to feel irritated, you barely even had any time to react before you walked directly into the front door of your house, knocking you flat on your back with blunt force, kicking up dust. Scootaloo tried to press in a giggle behind her hoof, that cute smile of hers that made your heart melt visible from behind it. You rolled your eyes at her, and a blush burned at your cheeks. She offered her hoof to you and accepted it, releasing a soft grunt of both pain and annoyance. Shaking off the force of the blow from the door, you pushed open the door to your house and invited Scootaloo inside, closing the door behind you gently, the hinges creaking as you did so. "Mum, I'm home," you called out, getting no response. "Mum?" Trotting your way over across the living room towards the kitchen, you poked your head inside and... "Oh, hi, Cerulean," the voice of your mother replied to you from her seat at the dinner table, a cup of what smelled to be chamomile-flavoured tea between her hooves, and across from her was another pony you couldn't recall meeting, yet she looked so familiar. The mare across from your mother, also with a cup of chamomile tea between her hooves, had a lively, vibrant orange coat and a well-kept pristine purple mane, and her eyes were a heavenly shade of blue, almost similar to your own, but more in the way of sky blue. Noticing her cutie mark from your sat-down position, you could see that it consisted of a purple blaze, positioned behind the heart of darker shade of purple. The other mare smiled sweetly down to you, that same cute smile that Scootaloo had. "Well, hello, dear," she said, her voice raspy and soft. "You must be Cerulean Blaze." "Oh, it's so nice to meet you, dear. I'm your filly friend's mother, Fireheart." You blushed a dark crimson, the burn being intense in your cheeks, and the two mares giggled at your reaction to that word. As if on cue, Scootaloo came after you into the kitchen, you presumed after hearing her mother's voice. Her eyes visibly shrank upon seeing her there, and she momentarily glanced to you to see your rosy cheeks, and then back to her mother. "Mum? How come you're here?" Fireheart smiled gently at her daughter. "Me and Cerulean's mother ran into each other when we were at the market today, and decided to hang out together." She motioned a hoof over to your mother, who smiled at her. "We're already friends, and might I say, you have one adorable-looking son, Sapphire." Your blush deepened, and you heard your mother giggle. Your blush had deepened to the point where it appeared as if your coat was actually red, almost glowing in radiance. Somehow, you knew that this wasn't going to be the last you heard of this. Fireheart took a sip of her tea before picking herself out of her chair, as did your mother. Fireheart thanked Sapphire for the tea and gave her a friendly hug before she turned to Scootaloo. "Well, Scootaloo, it's getting late. I think it's about time for us to head home too," she said softly. Looking from Fireheart to your mother, you intervened. "Mum, I actually want to talk about that. I asked Scootaloo to come round because I was wondering if I could, see if she could stay for the night," you asked, and both parents blinked. Fireheart looked to her side to stare at Sapphire with a thoughtful expression. Catching on to this, Sapphire smiled and nodded her head after a few moments of thinking it over. "Of course you can, sweetie. If it's all right with Fireheart, that is." "Of course it's all right. I'll be by tomorrow afternoon to pick her up," Fireheart said, scratching behind Scootaloo's ear, causing her to swat at her hoof in retaliation to display of "embarrass your foe because I'm a parent and it's my job." Giggling, Scootaloo's mother gave her a peck on the cheek and said her goodbyes before leaving the house moments later. "Honey, Why don't you take Scootaloo upstairs while I get dinner going? I'll call for you both when it's ready, Mum said. Both of your faces adorning smiles, you both made your way towards the stairs and into your bedroom that was located on the far right from the landing. Allowing Scootaloo to take entry first, you closed the door behind you both. Inside your room, Scootaloo looked around with a newly found curiosity that was evident in her eyes, making them glisten like miniature purple orbs speckled in glitter. She took in every last detail, especially when her eyesight was directed towards your walls, taking notice of the many embracing memorabilia posters and artefacts you had pinned up and arranged around your room. On the wall parallel to your bedroom door was a small shelf, holding various kinds of racing merchandise. It also held your prized possession, your helmet. What made the item stand out from the rest, and what made it so special to you, was because of who used to own it, your father, Frosty Blaze. Your dad was a multi-champion in sky scooter races, and the many dents forever hammered into your helmet, along with all the scratched and visible signs of wear, all symbolised the very moments of joy and victory he found in his career. Sitting beside the battered helmet was a small marble and gold trophy, the silver-plated plaque on the marble base reading, "Winner, Frosty Blaze, Cloudesdale Sky Scooter Racing Champion." Scootaloo eyed the trophy for some considerable time, and took a glance towards your direction, seeing you also staring at the award. A mark of sympathy entered her eyes, and she knew your father after the small meeting you both had that night when she returned the helmet to you, having dropped it at school after leaving in a tizzy. "Your dad was a racing champion?" Scootaloo asked, surprised. Your left ear twitched, and you averted your gaze from the trophy to Scootaloo, still holding a sympathetic look in her eyes. "Yes. He won over 13 races in total around Equestria. He was mostly in Cloudesdale for them, but he went down to Las Pegasus and Philadelphia a few times to compete. That trophy is from when he earned the title of champion," you explained, seeing her lips curl into an "oh" shape. "Anyway," you said, hoping to direct the conversation into a more comfortable topic, "you said before you had a scooter of your own? Well, how about I show you mine?" you offered, and that was more than enough to boost the filly's mood, her eyes practically becoming purple stars as a fresh smile found its way onto her lips. Mentally chuckling to yourself at her reaction, you trotted over to the far end of the room, to where your desk was located beside the window, and pointed with a hoof to it. Scootaloo's face immediately transformed into one of awe. Atop the desk, surrounded by neatly arranged bits and pieces and a new set of screwdrivers and a little can of oil, was your scooter, the Skybolt Series A, one of the very finest and best models of its time, and in perfect condition, considering what it was used for. The light blue paint that blended it in with the sky was freshly coated with a new layer, giving it that factory-fresh appearance. The black rubber handlebars, once torn and worn out from previous days, had been replaced with heavy-duty grips for ease of resistance when riding in harsh weather, and on the wheels, once scratched and worn where newly added, screwed securely into their places, offering a firm grip on the surfaces that they were designed for. Wrapping your hooves around it, you gently and carefully brought it down from the desk, positioning it onto the floor in front of Scootaloo. Leaning down, you undid the clasp at the bottom of the stem, connecting to the wheels from the handlebars, and raised the rod up from its resting position on the board of the scooter, offering Scootaloo a chance to step aboard a legendary piece of racing history. She hastily accepted and stepped her hooves onto the board, immediately feeling the sturdy, agile structure of the vehicle. Holding the handlebars, her hooves fit comfortably around them. Compared to her own scooter that was inferior to yours in every way, the agility and strength was effortless in putting hers in its place. This was a top-of-the-notch piece of racing equipment that used to belong to one of, or if not, the bestest sky scooter champion of all time. And said champion's son was the new owner of the scooter. And he's also your cult friend. Scootaloo's breath caught in her throat. Scootaloo sputtered, stepping off of the scooter, and you gently placed it aside, raising a brow at her. Scoots? What's up? He called me Scoots again. You alright? You went beside her and sat her down, taking your own place beside her and draping your wing over her back. Yeah, Scootaloo said quietly, rubbing her cheek with a hoof. I just kinda feel sad about what happened with Rumble earlier at Sugar Cube Corner. I mean, I knew that he liked me and all, but not that he would get that upset. How do you mean? You asked. He still thinks about me in that way, she said with a sad sigh. Cerulean, he still likes me. When we were talking, he told me about how he thought of me in that way, and then he brought it up when you and me became friends, and ended up being together. Rumble got put in a bit of a funk from that, Scootaloo said. From what you've just heard, your mind didn't know what to think. Rumble and you were friends, and he was like the brother you never had. You, like most other school ponies in your class, knew how he felt about Scootaloo, having been told by Archer more than once at school, and how he's been falling for her ever since he met her. With a hoof, you raised Scootaloo's chin, meeting her eyes. With a soft, caring smile, you placed the lightest of kisses to her muscle, igniting a blush on her cheeks. Pulling her into a hug, you allowed her to rest her head on your shoulder, you doing the same on hers as you both snuggled your cheeks together. He'll be alright, Scoots. He just needs some time to figure things out and sort them out for himself, you said, holding on to her. I sure hope so, Scootaloo agreed. He will do, believe me, you reassured her, seeing her smile. Oh, how you'll love that smile of hers. So vibrant, it could drive away storm clouds. Perhaps, one day, I could teach you how to race a sky scooter, you offered, and her smile extended into a toothy one. I'd like that, she said like a child and half-warming. Great. We'll have to go into one of the fields around town and practice sometime. You're going to love it, trust me, you said, hugging her, breaking away from the embrace. Scootaloo trotted over towards the shelf holding your helmet. Reaching a hoof up, she ran her hoof ever so carefully along its shell, able to feel every single dent and scratch forever marked into its surface, from small to large cracks and dents. You watched her as she looked over the helmet. It was almost as if she was under a spell as she was touching the relic. Such a treasured piece of racing history. Removing her hoof from it, she took a deeper look at the memorabilia on the shelf. Other than the trophy and helmet, a framed photo of a stallion with dark and light blue toned mane, with blue eyes and white coat, was cradling a younger looking version of yourself, both you with toothy grins. You noticed her smile, although she didn't turn around. The next item on the shelf was a concealed, strange-looking item in a small glass case. The item behind the glass was held in place by small supports made out of aluminium, and there was a small plaque on the inside of the case, built flat into the base of the case. Taking a closer look at the plaque, Scootaloo read aloud. Frosty Blaze, team member of Turbo Wing. She gasped to herself, awestruck. Looking back up to the item held by aluminium supports behind the glass, she raised a brow, unsure of what exactly she was looking at. Coming beside her, you took a look at the item, knowing what it was straight away. The item held by supports was a golden badge in a circular shape, a pair of greatly detailed Pegasus wings, proudly flared out on either side of the circle. In the middle of it was a glowing yellow thunderbolt, almost appearing as if it was an actual bolt of lightning, magically enchanted to remain stable as a part of the badge. That was my dad's team badge, back when he raced for Cloudsdale. He's the one who founded the team, and he used to be the leader before, You stopped, ears flopping backwards, and Scootaloo took hint of what you were going to say, an understanding look on her face. Well, I'm sorry, Cerulean, she said, enveloping you with her hooves and pulling you into a warm hug. Accepting the embrace, you crawled your cheek into the side of her neck. You know, Scoots, I really wish he was still around to meet you. He was a really awesome father to me, and he's the reason I know all I know today. He would have loved to know you. Oh, well, isn't that sweet? A voice from the doorway said, freezing both of you in place. Turning your heads, you both stared in shock at the sight of your mother watching you with a sweet smile. Shame I don't have a camera. You two are so adorable together, she said, giggling to herself. In a flash, you both released each other from your hugging position and snapped into a neutral stance. Bright burning crimson blushes raging on both your cheeks as you scratched the back of your neck awkwardly. How long have you been there? You demanded. Your mother continued to smile. About when both of you started hugging, she said, letting out a chuckle. Anyway, I've got dinner ready. your mother announced before making her way out of the room and back towards the kitchen. Blushing madly, you turned your attention towards Scootaloo, and you both shared a shocked and embarrassed glance at each other. Shall we just forget this ever happened? She asked, her voice shaky from the shock flowing through her small body. You nodded hastily in agreement. Yeah, that would be best. Well, come on, we should go downstairs for dinner. Mum's probably waiting for us. Looking forward to the promise of food, the two of you made your way out of the bedroom and joined your mother in the kitchen. Dinner was surprisingly quiet as you all sat there, tucking into your own plates. It was nothing special, but neither you or Scootaloo seemed to mind. Hay casserole, salad, and some apple fritters for dessert. You and Scootaloo sat together, taking slow bites of your own food. The silence was beyond awkward, and into the uncomfortable region. The only sound being heard in the room was the sound of everybody's breathing and chewing. During the whole time, you could still feel the blush that burned your cheeks a short while ago, and judging from the rosy expression on Scootaloo's face, so could she. The two of you didn't share a glance the whole time you were eating, and when you were eventually done with dinner, you asked for Scootaloo's empty plate, and stacked it atop your own before hoofing them over to your mother, before she took them over to the sink and started washing up. Making your way back to your room, the time was late, and it was about time to go to bed. The night was cold, despite having heating in the house. The cold didn't bother you that much, seeing as when you lived in Manhattan, the weather was usually cold, especially around this time of year, and it was something you eventually got used to. Oh, Celestia, it's cold, Scootaloo said, a noticeable shiver running down the length of her spine. You took note and draped a wing over her back, lapping it over her side. You hid a blush that deepened when you softly positioned yourself so that your side was touching hers, your body warmth providing comfort for her. The guest room was nothing all that special. It was the same size as your room, and you had few shelves and bookcases in place against the walls with small ornaments and trophies arranged neatly on them. Clearly, they were well taken care of, judging from how clean they were. Placed snugly at the back of the room against the middle area of the wall was a bed big enough for about 7 to 10 foals. The framework was made out of a polished metal with added shine, and the sheets of the bed were a vibrant sky blue, a symbol of the wing, in the middle of the sheets in a bold gold outline and lighter gold inner colouring. Well, the bed's all yours if you want it. It used to belong to my dad, but he never used it much on account of being away for most of the time around Equestria, you explained, trotting over to Scootaloo at your side. Climbing onto the bed, you offered a hoof and lifted Scootaloo onto it with you. Almost immediately, she fell into the softness of the mattress. It was almost identical to a cloud surface. Plush and soft, it was in pristine condition and promised a relaxing and comfortable sleep. Raising the sheets, Scootaloo climbed in and wrapped them around her, the cold seeming to instantly fly off her to the newly found warmth of the sheets. You smiled at that cute and adorable, relaxed expression of hers. That comfortable? The bed was actually custom made by a pony back in Cloudsdale. Dad had a few connections, so he had this one made for him. Hey, Cerulean? Yeah, Scoots? She shifted nervously beneath the covers, holding back a blush. Do you think you can maybe stay here with, me? She asked with a stammer, and your heart almost stopped. Was she asking me to, sleep with her? Oh, I think my brain just melted. You blushed like a red light bulb. She may be close to you, but being asked something such as this, you were unprepared for it. You had no idea how to respond to the question, and your mind was drawn to blank. A voice in the back of your head was telling you to accept and crawl under the sheets with her. You wanted to, you really did, yet as much as you might want to, a piece of your mind was telling you that it would be wrong to sleep with her. You still felt as if it was a little bit too early in your relationship to be doing anything like this just yet. You still felt as if it was a little too early in your relationship to do anything like this just yet. Oh, come on, Cerulean. It's just a harmless, friendly gesture. There isn't anything wrong about a colt sleeping in the same bed as a filly. That goes especially if she is your filly friend. You loved her, but you didn't think or know what to do. Never mind if you should or shouldn't be doing it. Oh, you've blown it, Scoots. He's thinking of walking away. Quick, do something. Without a second thought, Scootaloo sat up from under the covers, taking you by surprise. Her hooves were found locked tight around your barrel, and she pulled you under the sheets, latched onto you like her fare was Velcro. Your eyes shrank in shock and panic, unsure of what was happening. The covers were enveloping your bodies, and you found yourself beneath the young orange filly, her eyes devious, and you could feel her warm breath contacting your muzzle and lips. Nothing happened for a few moments. You both stared at each other, unsure of what to do next. Suddenly, a fit of giggles escaped from Scootaloo's lips, and you two joined in. "Oh, you should see the look on your face," she laughed. "Priceless!" She let herself down and rested her barrel against your own, putting some weight on your body. Your faces were now only centimetres apart, glowing blushes in the darkness beneath the sheets as you stared at each other. Wrapping your hooves around her, she squeaked cutely in surprise, and you pushed your body sideways, still holding onto her so that your sides were now laying on the bed and your heads were placed on the massive plushy pillow. Still facing her, you shared a smile and lightly touched muzzles. Scootaloo closed her eyes, her smile plastered on her lips as she allowed herself to drift off into dreamland. Watching her all the while, you took a moment to contemplate how cute she was in her current position. Beneath the sheets, you could feel her hoof cup around your own in a holding pose. Her hoof was warm and soft against your own. Snuggling yourself beneath the sheets, you made yourself comfortable, watching Scootaloo sleep with short, deep breaths and seeing her chest rise and fall. You could tell she was already burrowed in the dream world. Cuddling up to her, you averted your eyes down to her lips. A thought crossed your mind, and you blushed heavily. There was nothing harmful about this, was there? What's the worst that could happen? Slowly shifting your head forwards, your lips made contact with Scootaloo's, placing a light peck. They were smooth and invitingly warm. Breaking away, you saw her smile become slightly wider as she slept, and she let out a happy, dreamy moan and sigh. Resting your head back next to hers, you let your eyes slide closed and fall into a blissful sleep.